Right, this time I thought we'd have a go at the koala. And as I mentioned, he is a little bit of a one for picking his nose. So I thought it'd be quite fun to try and draw that. So if I just get that out of the way and get myself a piece of paper. Right, he's got quite a big head. It's going to fill the page quite a lot. It's not going to be completely round. It's going to be slightly triangular. Okay. And he's quite plump, so he's going to have a roundish body here. Right. Now, the thing that makes a koala very koala-y is the huge nose in the middle. It sort of echoes the shape of his head there. And this character doesn't have entirely round eyes, they're more lozenge shaped. Again, they're quite near the top of his head. And of course, the big fluffy ears, get that sort of shape in there. It's often quite hard to get those the same size. We'll look at that when we get further on. Now, the difficult bit is getting his hand into his nose. So I'm going to try and draw that in straight away. So he's going to have his arm coming up, arcing round, and then getting into his nostril there. So that finger's going to be the one that's up his nose, and then he's going to have a couple more fingers just curling round. And then it's got to come back. The other arm I think will have waving at us, slightly cheeky sort of way. So again, curved elbows, and let's just draw a circle in his paw. Now, rather than just draw him standing in the same way that we drew the little bear, I'm going to try something different. I'll just curve his body over slightly this way. I'm going to put one of his feet here. So it's on its way towards the middle, but it's not in the middle quite. Bendy knees, so a big fat foot. And then we can put the other one as though he's sort of dancing around in a cheeky kind of fashion, up in the air. So still a bendy knee. And you would see the bottom of his other foot. So I'm going to draw a circle to give us the position of the bottom of his foot, the underside. So sort of, I suppose that's kind of what we're looking at, isn't it, really? Right, now I'm going to go back. As with both the other bears, a slightly shaped top to its head. And what's fun with fluffy ears is if you put some little bits of hairy fluffy bits there where his ears meet his head. And then we're going to use fluffy kind of shaggy sort of marks to get across the texture. And then a bit of three-dimensionality, some sort of furry bits for the inside, like that. And this is the tricky bit, making sure this is the same size. So same sort of marks. There we are. Okay, do a bit of shading, a little bit of fluff on the inside. Perhaps slightly bigger. This one out slightly. I'm going to draw his eyes in a bit better. Furry bits for his eyes. And let's see, what sort of eyebrows shall I give him? I'll give him the one up, one down, slightly cheeky look as well, I think. Now, I need to get this arm in before I draw the rest of his face because it's coming in front. So I think we'll deal with this tricky bit straight off. So where he's not got his finger in his nose, let's make that slightly higher. His nostril is going to be a bit like that. where he has got his finger in his nose, he's going to be stretching it up because it's bigger, because he's got a great big finger there. And that's again is funny. Get that round there. Curve that finger round. Now we can put the rest of his head in, so let's sort of curve it there, just slightly furry there, but not all the way around. Otherwise, if you get furry bits under here, it starts to look like a beard or 5 o'clock shadow. It looks a bit strange. Now I'm going to shade his nose in, just like we did with the other. So I'm going to leave a side highlight on this one, like that. You sort of establish where it needs to be before you start shading. And are you noticing that I'm making the directions of the marks reflect the roundness of the nose, the curvature of the nose. It all helps to kind of sculpt it. And darker underneath. Okay. Good. I think he's going to have a cheeky grin to match those eyebrows. A one-sided grin can be quite good. And we're going to make it a sort of sly grin, so it's not going to be a great big wide one. It's going to be quite narrow, and then what really makes it work is you put the teeth in. So it starts to look quite naughty. The other thing that's quite interesting is if you draw lines across, pretty much straight across his eyes there, for his eyelids, that also makes him look quite naughty. And actually quite mean, I think, as well. So let's have a look at this t-shirt. He wears a t-shirt in this book rather than the trousers that the little one wears. So we need to establish where his middle would be. Now, because his legs are sort of round to one side, I think the midriff, instead of being straight across, it's going to be like that. Now I could, normally I would curve the bottom of the t-shirt down like I did with the waistband of the trousers. But because he's a bit plump, it looks funnier if his t-shirt's riding up. And you get that impression by doing it the other way. So draw a curve that way round. It just slightly makes it look as though his t-shirt's too small. So that's coming down there, and his other arm. That's it. And so t-shirt on this side, it's going to be about there. Now I don't want this to be bigger than his arms because it's got to be tight on him. Round sleeves, so I've got to make his arm the same width as the t-shirt. And I don't want to join this one right up, it would be more like that. And you wouldn't see the top of the t-shirt because it's under his chin. Let's draw his central pad. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we'll put the same kind of bumps in that we did before. 1 for each pad circle. Make his paws sort of bigger and rounder in the same way that he is bigger and rounder. And some movement marks. We're doing them on both sides this time, not like the big bear, because the big bear was moving in one direction. He's going backwards and forwards because he's waving. So if you put the movement marks on both sides, you know that he's waving. So it's just slightly different. Now, I'm going to draw this line in there. The knee would sort of come in there, but this would come underneath a little. And this is going to be his toes. I'm going to draw kind of, you know, I said that this was the underside of his foot. Well, this is sort of the side of his foot. And so I'm drawing in this bit. I'm not going to make it a big flat circle, just draw the back of it, just to help us to know what we're seeing. And then we'll put the pads on. And did you notice that they're round on his upper paw, but on his feet they've gone back into lozenge shapes because you're getting an element of foreshortening on it. And all the little ones are also slightly flattened as well, and that gives you three-dimensionality. Okay, and just back for this last foot. I think that leg might be fractionally longer than that leg, so I'm just going to raise that foot just slightly. I think that's slightly better. And again, we could, if we want to, put some movement marks there, or just put his leg up in the air. I don't like that line there actually. I'm going to take that line out. I don't think it's right. Yes, that's better. Yeah, that works better. So, shadows. A little bit under his foot there. And then, I think because he's got one leg in the air, what we'll do is we'll extend it out. But it gets lighter the further away you are from the surface. And so the one that's under this foot is going to be quite pale. Notice my shading marks are horizontal near enough. Again, that helps to make it seat, this shadow. If you were to shade it that way, it would look like grass. It wouldn't look like a shadow. And probably would help if we just put a little bit of shading on there just to show up that that's his t-shirt. And there we have it. One very naughty, cheeky koala picking his nose. One very naughty, cheeky koala picking his nose.